things aren't looking too good for the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Are contingency plans being made over where you are just in case this Brexit deal does not make it through the hurdle?
Yes, and Boris Johnson does not want those contingency plans to happen. During that press conference with Juncker, he very explicitly said, look, it's this deal or no deal. And he's going to address those 27 other EU leaders in about half an hour's time. And he is expected to tell them, look, you need to accept this deal, you need to give it political approval, and do not make any other arrangements. Do not arrange for a technical extension. Do not arrange for any kind of extension, because if you do, the British Parliament will not get the message that it's this deal or no deal on Saturday. He's worried that if the EU leaders make a contingency plan, if they say, look, we need some time to get this through, let's have a technical extension, even just of 1 month, it's enough to make the deal fail in the British Parliament. But people here are saying, look, we can't approve something that we've literally just seen. It needs to be translated in all the different languages. We need to go through what it means legally, what it means for customs, what it means for taxation. So they're saying, look, we could give our political approval today, which is not a legal approval, not an actual ratification, but just a temporary nod. But we're going to need more time to actually give it that ratification. Now, during that press conference, Johnson said the UK is going to leave whole and entire on October 31st. Both of those things are very much in doubt. It's very clear that Northern Ireland in some ways is staying aligned with the EU, and whether or not that actually happens on October 31st is still doubtful.
Okay, so lots of questions up in the air as it has been throughout this Brexit process, if you will. Now, I just want to talk about this deal, this new deal, which has been reached today, this Thursday. Many saying that it is Theresa May's old deal, which she had, that's been tweaked. What are the changes?
Well, it's essentially the deal that the EU offered Theresa May originally, and she rejected. That original idea from the EU was to have a Northern Ireland-only backstop, and she said she couldn't accept that. Now, that was because she was reliant on the DUP for her majority. She actually said no British Prime Minister could ever accept anything that puts a border in the Irish Sea in between Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK. This is essentially that deal that she rejected. Now, they're not calling it a backstop anymore. It's definitely not being referred to as a Northern Ireland-only backstop, but it is that in most ways. Now, what it differs with in that Theresa May deal is that it's no longer an insurance policy that kicks in if there's no FTA, free trade agreement, by the end of 2020. It goes into effect regardless. Eventually, Northern Ireland, the assembly there, could vote to leave it, but they can't do that for 4 years. Then there needs to be a 2-year cooling off period, so it really couldn't end until 2027. So it's actually significantly different than Theresa May's deal, but still, hardcore Eurosceptics in the UK are going to say, look, we didn't like Theresa May's deal because it wasn't a complete Brexit, and this one isn't either. So they will say it's the same in that it doesn't really deliver Brexit. We've already heard that message coming from Nigel Farage, the leader of the Brexit Party.
So no one's going to be happy as usual. Dave, thank you very much for that update. Dave Keating reporting there from Brussels. Now, Boris Johnson